Well, hey, Eastview. It's Josh again here, the pastor of young adults here at Eastview, and it's good to dive into John chapter 7 with you today. If you've missed any of our other devos from this last week, I encourage you to jump in as we have Jason, Nikki, Sarah, and Connor, who all dive into the Word with myself each week. And we all bring our own life experiences and perspectives to the text, and we all dive in and try to see what God is speaking to us and share that with you each week. And so I encourage you to listen to what God's been speaking to them as well. And we have another Devo that comes out on Friday, so catch that one as well. So John chapter 7, there's this interesting story where Jesus is proclaiming his divinity again. People are questioning, like, well, we're not supposed to really know where the Messiah comes from, but we know where Jesus came from, so surely he can't be that. And then Jesus makes this proclamation that basically, again, says, like, I am he. And so then you have this weird line in there where it says that many came to arrest him, but none laid a finger on him, right? Like it says that they tried to, or they wanted to at least. That was the desire, but it didn't happen. And in other gospel accounts, you'll have this, like, that kind of situation happen, but it says that Jesus withdrew or Jesus kind of escaped the situation. But this time it doesn't seem like that happened. It doesn't seem like there was some, like, oh, Mission Impossible, get out of here style. It was just no one was able to arrest him that day. Why? Like, what was the deal with that? So there's two things you can find from the text here that are at play. Or three things that are really important to know, actually. First is that it's the festival of booths. And so they're in Jerusalem, and it's probably packed. There's probably people everywhere. And so pulling off something like this is going to be difficult in itself. But then there's two different groups of people who could have pulled it off that day and had their own reasons for why not. The first group is probably intimidated. And these are the officers. And so you find them earlier in John chapter 7. And with how many people are in Jerusalem that day, and the text even says some people listened to Jesus and believed his words, if these officers would have come in and tried to arrest Jesus, it had a strong likelihood of causing riots, mob mentality. Their lives could have been at stake. So I'm sure there are some of these people who are like, okay, I was supposed to be here to arrest Jesus, but I don't want to mess with this right now. There are crowds everywhere. There's surely got to be a better time to pull this off, which you'll see in a few chapters in John that happens. Then you have this other group of people, and they're more these Roman officials, and they could have pulled it off. They had the authority and the moxie to do it. They didn't really have to worry about the crowds getting in their way. And so they were there and listened to Jesus as well. But it seems from the text that even though we don't know exactly what their stance was, they didn't feel like that was the right time either. Whether some of them were impressed by Jesus and were like, okay, like, I don't know if this is the guy we need to be arresting right now. And others may have been like, is it really worth it? I don't know. But so yeah, in this text, it's just a really interesting circumstance where you have Jesus proclaiming these things and you have a bunch of people coming with their agenda, but because it wasn't the right time and God's timing for Jesus to be arrested, it didn't happen. But I'm really interested and really excited for us to get into the story later of what actually did lead to Jesus' arrest. And John, later in the book of John, you'll see this. And it's a powerful moment, and I think it tells a lot about Christ's mission for us. But yeah, so God's timing is better than our own. We don't always understand it, but all things work according to his timing. And that wasn't the right time for Jesus to be arrested, and so his ministry continued on. So hopefully that was a fun thing for you to dive into this week like it was for me.